Hey, Bethany.
Hello.
What's up, girlfriend? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, today we get to chat a little bit about meeting some new people online.
Okay.
What happens when they don't want what you have, and what can we do next? So, you guys, welcome to the Monday social media chat. My name's Kathy Callahan. If we have not met before, Bethany, do you go by Bethany Michele online? Is that who we call you online?
I do. I don't know. It's just one of those things that happened a while back and it's stuck. So that's what I'm at now.
Okay, so I am going to go ahead and post this up into the announcements of the group. You guys, if you're here, please say hi. This is our normal time that we go live every Monday morning, but we're actually doing this as a wrap up to the social selling workshop. So we're going to do a tad bit of bonus training to wrap up with you guys on everything we learned last week. So if you're here, say hi, please. I feel like I'm on a hill. Do I look sideways? I have an old house. I have an old table. If you guys are here, say hi. Hi, Karen. Karen and I got to talk. Casey's here. Christy's here. Christy's a brand new Evergreen student. Ruby's a brand new Evergreen student. You guys, we have had so much fun in the social selling workshop. So before we get into training on what to do when people are not interested and how to create that nurturing sequence follow-up system, and let Bethany train with you guys on that and introduce her, it is my job to say, today's the last day to get into Evergreen. So if you have gone through the social selling workshop, today is Monday, April 26, 2021. And we open up Evergreen at certain times of the year for enrollment, and this is one of them. So if you're still thinking about it, this is your night. You got to get in. If you have questions, you're not sure if it's right for you, I just did a phone call with Alyssa. We can chat on the phone. We can talk about what options we have, who this program is a great fit for. Is this really where you should be, and how can we make that happen? So don't be afraid to reach out to your concierge. Don't be afraid to have them connect you and I, so we can do that. So Bethany, before you get to train, we actually met when you came into Evergreen, right?
Yes, I did I did your virtual. Kathy, hold on though. This was not done on purpose, guys.
We're matching. We're matching. I've got mine turned differently. That's so silly. Okay, now I'm gonna mess with it. Want it to be that.
I didn't do that on purpose.
No, we didn't. But you came through a workshop and then moved into Evergreen is how we met.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So why did you decide to do that?
Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry, because I was talking.
Why did you decide to do, before you train, for all these girls who are thinking about doing Evergreen, why did you decide to go into Evergreen?
So I went into Evergreen mainly because where I was at with my business, I was kind of like at a standstill, and I didn't really have anybody telling me or helping me with what my next move was. And I really didn't, like, had I not joined, I would have been in the same place that I was then, right? Like, I've grown since Evergreen. I've learned how to run my business differently, and there was nothing with that before. And even like, right, you can find all sorts of like these crazy things on Pinterest, and right, you search things and it's just kind of general statements, but there's no one that is like helping you or guiding you. There's no one to get feedback from or bounce ideas off of. Yeah. So for me, going into something that already had that for me and with someone that was knowledgeable about it was game changer.
It's been a ton of fun. It really has. And part of what Bethany gets to train you guys on today, let us know if you need help with this. We call it a nurturing sequence. Some people call it follow-up, but this is a ton of what we teach in our program, because so often people don't want what you have right away. And we take it personal, we shut down, we don't have a system, we don't have a process, we don't even know what it looks like to nurture a lead or a prospect and move them through the sales funnel, right? So that is a lot of what we love to really work with you guys on is, and Bethany, you're one I did a call with from the very beginning where you're like, I've talked to all the people. And I was like, well, let's evaluate first. Have we really talked to them? Did you make them an offer? And 3 out of however many was on your list were actually like completely, we've done the whole process with. And so then when they say no, what do we do next? So the first part is like, how are we even having conversations? Are we really getting them from the whole story? So anyway, so that is why I just want to remind you guys, if you do want in, if you're unsure, this is not like a high pressure thing, but some people don't understand what's on the inside.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's a lot of money. It's a big commitment, because it's a big freaking deal, right? We're going to be in each other's business for a long time together. And I don't mean business. I mean up in each other's business, doing business together. We're going to get to know each other really well. And the community is insane, like the way these ladies work together. So if you guys are hesitant because you can't figure out how to make it happen, please message your concierge and just let us know of your interest level. With that being said, let's move on. Bethany, before you train, tell us a little bit about you, who you are outside of your network marketing business is, why you chose network marketing, how you're making it happen in your insanely busy life, because you got a lot going on. And then let's train on our topic for today.
Sure. So I am a wife. I am a mom of four girls. Yes, there are 5 girls in my house, guys. But my daughters are 21, 17. The one will be 18 in a couple days, 14 and 7. I came home I left my nursing career 7 years ago. So I was a full-time nurse. I worked in the hospital for years, but the last 5 years I actually worked in the schools. It was okay. So guys, I left my dream job to be home. My dream job, I got into the school system. I was a state of Michigan certified school nurse. I ran an entire program. I did health, safety, nutrition. I had no weekends, no nights. I had Fridays off, no summers, no holidays. It was great. But I needed to be home with my kids. And I came home with my kids thinking, oh, it's going to be nice to have this break, right? I thought, oh, it's going to be so much easier. Yeah. And then I got home and I said, I miss my job.
Who can relate to that? You guys, who did that? You like stayed home and you're like, this is going to be the dream. And you're like, what the H? What is this?
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God.
In the comments below if there's anybody else like that.
I had much more downtime when I worked a full-time job. But my little one has multiple medical needs and she's got some learning issues, and all of my girls have kind of health stuff. So I needed to be home. I knew it was the right place for me. But I quickly realized, besides the fact that I had no time, I also had no time for self-care. Yeah. Like, nothing, there was no part of taking care of myself whatsoever. And a few years in, I was spent, like couldn't function in Michigan. I'm in New Hudson. I'm right by Wixom, or South Lyon or whatever. But I quickly realized that I needed to find time for self-care. So I started taking, I took a yoga class outside of the house because I'd been practicing for years just in my house. And then I found I loved it. And so I took teacher training, because then I was still helping people, because I like to help people. And I was helping them find their practice, but I was also helping people with self-care, which now has expanded into this bigger, like kind of overarching of me trying to help busy moms or busy women learn to take care of themselves first with easy things, right? It doesn't mean I'm telling you to go take a girls retreat weekend or week. Although if you want to take me, I'm going to go.
I did. I invited you to come to one next month, and I don't think you're coming.
I know. First communion for my daughter. But, you know, like, so it doesn't have to be those things. And I found very quickly that so many women were losing themselves to the go, 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 go. And we need to stop doing that. Like, you deserve to sit down and eat a meal. You deserve to go to the bathroom by yourself and brush your hair, you know. And so this is kind of what led me to network marketing and business, is I was still finding ways to help people and be with people. And so here I am. Also, my husband only worked 4 months last year because of Corona, and his job was shut down. So I didn't want to pull my kids out of gymnastics and soccer. So
that's awesome. You have a really strong, in the beginning of social selling, on day one, we talked about finding your passion, your purpose, tying it to your products, figuring out who your perfect prospect is, how to promote without promoting your products, but promoting your brand. You guys, did you take that away from day one? Because if you listen to what Bethany just said, she still never talked about the types of products she sells, the types of company. She's talking about her message and her mission. And this is the first part of what you guys have to do before you can do what she's going to talk to you about next. Because if you don't have nailed down super clear your why, who it is that you help, how it is that you help them, and why you want to help them do that so that they can what? You're going to struggle in all the other areas. So when you come to that piece and like understanding of, oh, it's not just about selling a certain product, it's about the message and the solution or the problem that it solves, or behind it, the benefit, this becomes so much easier. So Bethany's nailed that down. That's then opened her up to say, okay, if I'm going to sign up with this company, or if I'm going to, do this job or whatever, does it line up with what I'm called to do, who I love to help, and how I can help them, right? So I think that's so cool because you've always had that nailed down. So you guys type in the comments below if you figured that part out, or who's still struggling with that part from everything we covered in day one of social selling, because this is the wrap up of it. This is your last bonus training here. And I sure as heck hope you got down some clarity on day one. So Bethany, you're like, okay, I know it is who I want. Like, you're like, I'm going to help moms learn to take care of themselves. You've been on your own journey, and then you start to line up with companies that can help women do that. And then you start getting into conversations with people. And what you said that you wanted to talk about a little bit today was how not to take it personal when they're not interested, but how to create the next step. So you start chatting, and if I want to chime in, I'll jump in and ask some questions. But talk to me about what that means. Talk to all of us about what that means.
Sure. So I'm also going to mention that I was a hardcore, like direct sales network marketing was like not my thing, right? I said that for a long time. And what I realized very quickly when I started to look into it more, and when I was not approached, but when I had talked to the right people, it wasn't the companies that turned me off. It was the way that I was approached by people.
Okay.
And so that's been a big component for me, is starting those conversations with people in a more appropriate, friendly way versus like just this push.
Right.
And then continuing that conversation even after they've said no, right? Like, just because my friend has said no to me does not mean that I'm no longer her friend.
Right.
It means no for right now. It means, hey, this isn't the right fit for me. And it still means I need to nurture and follow up, just not in a salesy, pushy way, right? Because this is what I hear from so many people in like different communities, is that, well, I won't have anything to do with network marketing people. And it's not because of the company. It's truly because of their experience with the person. So
true. And I do have to interject, because this is, we want to hear from y'all. I see some, Jessica's tagging some people. This happens all the stinking time. People, y'all did not quit eating food because you had a bad experience at a restaurant, right? But it does happen. It is kind of, you can relate to this when people don't want to take a look at your business because they had a bad experience with one person. It's not like they got an experience with 100 other restaurants and this one was bad. Typically, they don't have a whole lot of experience with network marketers. And if the first one they had was bad, it was really a turnoff, they don't have a whole lot of good to compare that to, right? This is still an industry, and this is part of my like passion with Evergreen. When I started looking at the industry that we're a part of and the type of people that truly succeed in it, these are successful people in life, whether they were successful stay-at-home moms, successful doctors. These are serious, committed people that want to help others, that want to build businesses, that want to have an impact, that love community. Why would that be a bad thing? Yeah. But we promote it as some, like the way we come off is like, we need sales and we need people and we just have to get this so that we can get that. It has nothing to do with what's in it for people. Yeah. And this industry is an insane opportunity. And most of you know my story from business done the way that most people can't afford to start their own businesses, like big franchises, or like how my mom started our family business. Most people don't have the resources to do that, but they could totally sign up for a $49 or $99 box. And they think it's not the same opportunity. So I just got off on the tangent, but It is so true. This is why I really want through us, especially in Evergreen, bringing all those women together, all those companies together, and just edifying the industry and helping y'all do this better and differently. So create conversations. They say no, not for me. It could be because they preconceived notion, bad experience. We've got to do what so that we have some time to overcome. Like, do you, and I know you don't, but do you run in the corner and be like, oh my God, they didn't want what I had? Or what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, and I think I still, and not gonna lie, there are still times when I'm like, oh man, right? Like, oh, I've been trying or things aren't working, and I still have that, right? Like, I'm not at a point where, oh, nothing bothers me because I'm human and whatever.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, okay, that person said no, they're still, I'm still going to be kind. I'm still going to, do my check-in with them, and especially friends, right? Like, I'm still all the time, hey, what's up? How you doing? Because I think, well, maybe it's a no for right now. So like maybe later on they're going to see something and they'll ask questions. And I've had that happen before. Right? Like later on, they're like, okay, so I see you talking about this. Or even like I've had someone say recently, like, oh, you look happier. And I'm like, oh, this is why.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing I talked to them about before, but they just needed to find it in their own way. So I don't take it personally anymore because everyone is in their own place and their own space and has their own kind of preconceived notions about what's going on. So it's just hey, it's a no. And I continue to do what I'm doing and,
keep on rolling.
either move on or,
They'll
or
move
come
on
back at another time.
Have you heard the McDonald's analogy? The
Mm-mm.
drive-through analogy with the apple pie?
No.
Okay, you guys that are listening, when you're trying not to take things personally, this may be silly, but I've heard it 1,000 times. Who knows the McDonald's mentality when it comes to offering people and them saying no? So, or do you want fries with that kind of thing? So like you drive through the McDonald's, which by the way, I figured out why I give my kids so many Happy Meals. I realized that as a child, I never got Happy Meals and we always had to share a drink and my dad would pour. So I'm like that. I think that's why we give them so many Happy Meals. I'm working on it. But if you go through the drive-through, so Bethany is not immune to emotion and to feelings and taking things personally, even if she can tell herself all the truths. And you're working on we've got our life transformation coach inside of Evergreen. We're all learning this stuff, but we still sometimes go like, what I do wrong. So in the McDonald's drive-through, you're like this. You're driving through and you're like, what can I help you with? 2 plain cheeseburger Happy Meals, apple slices, 1 with chocolate milk, 1 with an apple juice. And they're like, okay, would you like 2 apple pies for $1? And I'm like, no. The girl's like, okay, thank you. Your total is $7.52. I'm like, okay. Or you could be like that. And she's like, wait, what? Wait, you didn't hear the offer. I said 2 apple pies for $1. You must not know how good they are. You must not have ever had. Let me just keep convincing you. She doesn't do that. And she also doesn't go, oh my God, I'm the worst McDonald's drive-through lady ever. I can't tell anybody else about my apple pies because this girl didn't get it. Like, isn't that so ridiculous? Mm-hmm. And so you learn not to take things personally because you know what your job is. You know exactly how often you're supposed to do it, why you're doing it, what's in it for them, and that's what you lead with. So that's my way of not taking it personally. I just act like I offered them an apple pie and they must have no clue how good it is. So I'm just going to keep offering them an apple pie each time they come through. And I'm going to keep eating my apple pie on social media. And like Bethany said, you just keep showing up. Okay, so people say no. You learn how not to take it personally. How do you ask? Do you ask for permission? Like say, do you have a specific example of someone that maybe you asked to host a party or take a look at a program or join your business and they said no, and then like what you did next? Do you have any examples like that?
So I can tell you my biggest example is, and my best example is my mom.
Okay.
Right. And because I'm like, when I started with my one company, I was like, okay, Mom, I need you to look at this. I really, and I know my mom very well. And I'm like, these are all the things that you're going to love. This is totally you in a box.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not. Though I'm not looking at that. I don't know. And then finally I convinced her to look at something and she went on the website and had an issue. Like our website went down at the moment she was on it. And she's like, I'm not doing it. It's a scam. I'm not doing it. No way, whatever, have a good time with that. So I said, okay. And I left it alone. And then I happened to be talking to her about something, and I was using one of the products, and I was like, hey, this is what, and she's like, oh, I'm still not interested. Okay, fine. And ended up, she saw something, she got on, she's interested. She is my best customer. She's actually my number one client. And she has brought me people. She has brought me people that have partied with me. She has, and I can say, people are like, well, that's your mom. And I'm like, yes, but guess what? I took it more personally that my mom was saying no to me and turning me down than I would if it was Sarah off the street, right? Because I had no emotional tie to Sarah.
Right.
And so you say no to me, that's okay. But someone who I'm like, you should trust what I'm saying to you. You right? You should believe me that I'm telling you this is awesome. Right. Was still like, no, I don't. And that really was hard. And I took it personally at first. And then I was like, you know what? It's okay.
Move on.
Keep going. And now, like I said, she's my best client.
It's hard sometimes when your mom doesn't get what you're doing, right? And you're like, you're supposed to support me. And if my mom doesn't think it's good and it's a scam, like, should I not do it? So making those adult decisions and doing our own due diligence, even when it's your mom who says don't do it, and then continuing to do it. So I think the best thing, and you guys, those of you that are listening, type to us about your biggest struggle in this area. You find a why, you've got your purpose and passion, you've tied it to the products and the company that you're with, you know how to do your business. So these are all key beginner points. You know what systems you have, you know how to get out in front of people, you get people exposed, they show up to the story and they say no. These are all the steps we've gone through so far. If you have clarity in what you're doing, why you're doing it, who you can help, how you can help them, you don't as easily shut down, right? Because even if they didn't get it, that's not who we're here for. But then that people do need time. They say 7 to 12 exposures to make a decision. So if your mom was first exposed to those products, that company, whatever, for the first time, that could be why. She already likes you and trusts you. So you've got a little bit further down the line. You don't have to build the know, like, trust factor as much with your mom. But you still got to build confidence in the products. So now she says no. You've got close connection with her because you're in front of her all the time. Right? Mm-hmm. What happens when these no people are our party guests? What happens when these no people are somebody we just met on social media or a mom we do gymnastics with? How do we not be weird about staying connected? Do you have sequences or processes or a follow-up system in place that allows you to stay connected and purposefully in front of them without being like, hey, did you change your mind? Hey, did you change your mind? Sure. Hey, you must not understand.
Yes.
My point. So, do you see that I model? Like, this is how people feel like we follow up. Hey, Bethany, are you ready?
But you're not. By the way, it's not this anymore. It's this. I'm learning from the kids.
If my teenager thought I was half cool, he would fill me in on that stuff, and I wouldn't have looked like a fool right now. So
you don't look like a fool. So I'm going to show you my super high tech follow-up system. And my super high tech system, you guys are all going to love it. And you're going to be jealous. I already know. Ready?
That used to be mine. 5-subject notebook.
It's so high tech. I have a 5-subject notebook. One section is like parties, one section is contacts, one section is training. It's so high tech, I know. And I literally write down the name of the person that I talk to. I write down the date, how I talk to them, phone, messenger, email, whatever, in person, and kind of a gist of what we've talked about. And if I know from my first conversation with them that they are an absolute never, because we've had conversations about people like that where they're like, nope, it's never going to happen. And I'm like, I'm not going to put a lot of effort into it. Or I kind of just, make a little note of when I need to come back. And truly my comeback is, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. If they're a no from the beginning and a hard no, I don't come back to them with it for at least a little while. It's just my standard. I'm a people person, so I like to talk to people, and it's a follow-up of how are you? How's the kids? How's soccer? You know,
Yep.
whatever along those lines. And then if they are a person who was like a no, I don't know, maybe person, I want to get them into, I try to say like, well, like just come into my VIP group.
Yeah.
There's no requirements to be there, right? You're not required to purchase, you're not required to participate, but be in there because maybe something will, maybe there's something you'll find that you like. Maybe I haven't talked to you about something and it comes up, right? Because you can't cover all your bases with everybody in a quick
Nope, you can't.
interaction. So
I love that.
yeah, it's really like how the first conversation went, how I know them prior to that conversation, and then they stay in my book, but do they come into my group? Where do they go once they're in my group? Depends on the conversation. Or maybe they don't come into my group and I just maintain my regular, interactions with them and visit it at a later date.
I think we're going to do one bonus hack, because as you were talking, I've got one way that we've done inside of Evergreen that the girls are like crazy about. So I'm going to ask you if you use this, and then I'll show people it. But before we do that, the follow-up system, when Bethany said she funnels them into her VIP group, that's kind of the premise and foundation of the Evergreen party. And that was like a side effect. Like initially we launched, and Bethany, you weren't in the beginning stages, but when I did this with my team, I'm like, let's just have a party group that simplifies our life. But the biggest part we found is, what do you do when people don't convert? How do you maintain a relationship? Bethany's got her tracking system, but how do you stay in touch? So if you can funnel them into a group, like she says, hey, come into my group. Or if they're already in your party group, then what we build out is how to touch point those people and keep them connected because they are in your group. That's a really welcoming, warming, loving way to follow up, because they don't feel like you're following up inside the group when you're posting things. And then what we've been building out in Evergreen is like, how often should you be tagging them in things? Especially like Bethany, say you expose your mom to, was it health and wellness that you exposed your mom to that she didn't want? Or what was it? Was it Norway? Jewelry? So your mom's like, yeah, not for me. Those towels are too overly expensive, whatever, right? Whatever her objection was. Well, if you know your mom's story or your customer's story, then when a post comes up in your group and you're like, oh, this would be great for my mom, but I don't want to reach out and tell her, you just tag her and be like, hey, I just thought of you when I saw this. That's not weird. That's just nurturing. That's staying connected and thinking about what's in it for that person, where their interest was. So I'm going to give them the edit friends list hack. Do you know what this one is, Bethany? Have you done this with us?
I don't know if I have.
So my hair's crazy. So
it's okay. I've been a mess all day too. I will say too, Kathy, that one thing that I think is helpful is that I can tell people in my, whatever you want to call it, VIP group, my party group, whatever you want to call it, right? My group. I do tell people that it's just not, I don't just talk about products, right? I'm like an 80-20 kind of person. So I have value, right? And I let them know, like, my group has, I talk about my favorite recipes. I was for a while teaching yoga every week in my group. And then I had people kind of fall off, and I was just, it was a busy time, right? And so I was bringing people that way because it was like, hey, I'm offering a free yoga class once a week, or I offer this. So having value in that group and telling them it's not just products, I think it's easier bringing people in instead of saying, hey, just come and look at my products that I post every day.
It's so true. And it's why I'm freaking crazy about Facebook groups. And I know like we train a lot in like other platforms, like should we go there? How do we use them? But I still personally believe, you guys that are listening, do you have a group? Who has a Facebook group? I still believe that Facebook groups are the best for community and for providing value and to staying connected with people, even if they don't want to buy right now. Whereas like if we go make a LinkedIn contact or an Instagram contact, it's not so much of the nurturing process that can happen. So even if we meet people over there, we funnel them into our Facebook groups because that's our community. That's our family. Bethany's on my team, and our team is a community and a family inside of one of our groups. Like there's just like, y'all need a Facebook group. Get you a Facebook group. And that is why the foundation of what we teach with groups is not just a way to promote, not just a way to sell. I have a VIP group where it's just sales, and that's all they're in for. Like before I knew how to do groups better. And now I do what you do with 80-20 value. And it's exactly right. And Bethany, we might have talked about this before, but those of you who don't know that, do you know they say that typically a Facebook group is only going to monetize at 3%? Mm-hmm. So when you guys are freaking out that most of your group is just people and you're like, only 2 out of 10 are customers or whatever, well, that's like 20%. You're doing really good. 20 out of 100. With our evergreen party concept, having a purposeful live and a presentation, making an offer, we convert higher. But typically when you're monetizing a Facebook group, it's not that high because the thing is people come in and they need time to grow through the process, move through the process. And a lot of them never are going to buy. But you are something different. And what happens is some people who don't want to buy and just kind of hang out in your groups later might want to buy. Or they're going, gosh, this isn't for me, but I know somebody who it might be for. Because you're just connecting. You're just being a person. Mm-hmm. Now, we teach how to convert higher. We teach how to be on purpose. We teach why to get them to the presentation. We don't want a 3% conversion. I want like 50. I want like 50% conversion. And then I want to have enough value where Bethany does have a reason to come into my group, or I have a reason to go into Bethany's group, even if I never wanted something she sold. Okay, I'm going to give them a hack before we do that. And Bethany, if you don't know this hack, you're going to die. This is amazing. So we have a Facebook group. That's a great way to nurture and follow up. Let me take a look at some comments, say hey to some people who are here, and then we will wrap up after my hack that all of you are going to implement right now. Alyssa has a Facebook group. They solidify relationships and build genuine community. If you do them well, that is exactly what they do. It's been a work in progress though, hasn't it, Bethany? Like getting a schedule together, figure out who's doing what the purpose is, how to keep people connected.
And I can say too, right, before I did any of this, and I'm talking years ago, before I was even in any sort of network marketing, I had like a yoga based Facebook group. And kind of but the thing is that I wasn't building anything from it. So really nothing happened with it. My idea back then, and things were in person, right, was like, this is where I'm teaching this week. But there was I didn't know anything about interaction or engagement. It was like, just post and hope something happens. So even then, when I thought I had value, and looking back, I was bringing value, but I wasn't putting it out there in the right way, and I wasn't interacting in the right way to make that happen. So being an evergreen, right? So fast forward all these years later, I'm now going, oh, well, had I done, A, B, C, and D back then, things would be much different now, right? But
you only know what you know and do what you do with the resources and knowledge you have at any given time. And our goal with working with our students is like, hey, we do have now this experience and this knowledge, so let's just like get you moving faster, right? Because in the comments or in the DMs a lot, people are like, I have nobody engaging on any of my stuff. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing to create engagement, create clarity, let people know what's in it for them? And then you're fighting a freaking algorithm. So it's like, even if you put out all that value, you and a lot of other people might be doing that. Do they even remember they're in your group? So Jessica Quivy spent some time like screening through everybody that's in her group, reconnecting. We clean out our groups. We talk about less people is better if they're engaged. Okay, so Bethany, I'm going to give you a way to nurture people outside of groups. Groups are solid. We've got to have our groups. We have our complete tracking system, our complete processes we move through and teach in our Evergreen program. If you guys are in there with groups, we've got a poop load. Some of you don't even know like all the things we have for tracking and checklists for that and reasons why. But for everybody who's not over there and you're just trying to find a simple way to stay connected, I want you guys to go create a friends list. I'm going to show you how in a second. So I'm going to tell you what we're doing, and I'll show you how. I want you to go create a friends list, because we're mostly talking about Facebook, on Facebook, of people that you want. Should we talk about people we want on our team, like dream team people that we're going to nurture? Should we go nurture some customer prospects? Pick a group. Pick a type of people, Bethany, and I'm going to make it. Team?
Dream team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to go teach you how to nurture your dream team outside of Facebook groups. The other way we do it is email list. I put everybody on an email list, and that just drips out an email once a week. But this one, anybody can do. I'm going to screen share. Bethany, if you know what this is, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know what that is. And if not, you're going to die, because this is so fun. I want you guys to go create a friends list, not this second, but when we get off this call, and go to your blue F in the top left of your Facebook page. Click on friends lists.
Oh.
Do you know this?
Yes.
Okay.
This is awesome.
Yep. Not just on friends, but click on friends list. So I'll go do that one more time. Click on the blue F, go to friends list. And Haley Ward inside Evergreen was the first one to like remind us that we can do this. And I'm like, this is so brilliant. It doesn't cost money. We have automation tools that can help with this kind of stuff, but people who don't, you're going to create a list. Okay. So just create a list of people, and you should have in your 5-subject notebook or wherever your tracking system is, people that you have on your dream team. So I'm going to change them to dream team. Remember when we talked about building your list out last Tuesday in day 2 of social selling workshop, we talked about there's already people currently on your list that you just don't know how to create conversations with, or you've asked them, they're not ready. So I call my people I'd love to do business with my dream team. And I want you guys to put in your dream team friends list the people who have not yet joined you, but you want them to join you. So who would that be for me? Nikki Smith. She's in this group. She's one of my friends forever. I would love to do business with her. I've offered her a few times. She's just not ready. Who else is in my dream team? Dee Dee Roth. I'm trying not to make up people. I'm trying to really authentically think of a couple people I've talked to that I would love to have join me, and they're just not ready. That might be all. I'll just put 2 for now. I'm going to look at my legitimate list. Actually, I want Angie to come back, but Angie's technically my upline, so that wouldn't be the same. Okay, we'll just start with those 2. So build out your list. What happens when you, and I already have a list of a bazillion different kind of lists. What happens when you create a list? When you go into that list, it will only show the posts of those people. So why does this matter? When I'm looking at just my dream team people, I'm going to be more on purpose about paying attention to their stuff, because we know if we want to get, we have to give. So apparently today is Carter's 16th birthday, and I want to stay in front of my friend Nikki, and I want to make sure I'm seeing her post. This makes it easy to do it that way. So I should write a much nicer message, but for now. So when I just go through my list, if I had 12 or 20 or 50 people, this is kind of like a private news feed just for those friends. So that's one way to use it. And the way you get back to it is you go to the blue F, you go to friends lists, and then you can click on any friends list that you've created and just see those people. So Bethany, have you ever done this?
Yes.
Okay. So if I set up a party guest list, like all my party guests from January 2021, or new friends that I made in March of 2021, and I want to nurture them, or my preferred customers, or like I said, that dream team list we just started together today. Okay. There's different ways you can use this. So like I said, the first way is when you click on it, like I have one for Evergreen somewhere, Evergreen students, and I don't have all you guys in there. I'm just starting to play with this whole list idea, but I've got 13 of you guys in there. So I'm missing like 87, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna build it out. But if I just wanna go check in on my Evergreen students, I can just scroll through, and then this helps me find just your guys' stuff. So I can nurture you, right? So I can love on you, so I can check in on you. So it's not just about creating conversion because you're already converted. It's about staying connected, right? Okay. Any questions first on that process? Because I'm going to show you one more way you guys can use it that's super amazing. And Bethany, you might know this way too when you're doing a new post. Let me check the comments real quick. What do you guys think about that? Do you already know how to do that, or was anybody's mind blown? Is anybody so excited about that, or is it just me? So this is a
I
way
was
that
very excited because I knew that we could do that. I knew there was a way, but I couldn't figure it out. And
yeah,
so when Haley showed us how, I was like,
yeah,
yay! Right?
yeah.
Like that was super exciting because all the things that you can do now with this custom, right? Custom posting, custom list is amazing.
Yeah. So what we're doing right now is only people who are your friends.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys are inside of a private group, you can tag people that are in a private group. You can set up a group messenger with people that are in a private group. But when you create friends lists, it's only people that are on your friends list. I mean, on your friends. Okay. So that's the first step. So let's screen share. So this is just all about when they're not interested, but you want to stay connected without being weird, without being spammy. We can tag them in group posts. We can happy birthday message them. We can have them on our email list. We can check in occasionally in the messenger, but that's not the only way to follow up. And then when we can create friends lists where we start paying more attention to what they post. So that's the first part of it, is we're going to pay attention to what they post by purposely going into our friends list of prospects or whatever. So that's the first part. The second part that I love that you can do with friends list.
Super amazing.
Was that you listening, Dust? I was like, okay. The second part you guys can do with it is when you go to create a new post. How come my Facebook is really slow? Let's just sit and wait a minute for my Facebook to load. When you guys to go do a new post, you can actually target certain people to see this. So do you know how to use friends list this way, Bethany?
Yes.
Okay. So let's say that you guys only wanted to post, like you don't need the whole Facebook world to see it because it's only going to pertain to prospects or it's only going to pertain to customers, and you're trying to nurture without like private messaging and you want to do a generic Facebook post. Like say I've got one I want to post that is this fizzed one. I haven't posted it yet. I've actually got it saved as only me. So let's say I'm going to do this and my friends are kind of like, we don't want to see all that stuff. We're so tired of seeing all these posts about whatever. And I'm like, well, I want to post it. You can edit your audience to show it only to certain lists. Okay. So you could have this only be shown to any list that you created. That's one way to do it. So you could show it only to Demi Rose's people from a year ago. And then that means when it posts on your wall, it's going to look like a post when you review it. It's going to look like a post, but when you look at this list, the only people whose newsfeed it showed up in is the friends list you chose. Does that make sense, Bethany? Did I explain it right?
Yes.
Okay. Then there's one last thing you guys can do. And all this hack, this is the kind of stuff I go crazy in with my Evergreen students. I go crazy over this kind of stuff. I'm like, this is so much fun to know all these little insider secrets, right? So a lot of times I'll also exclude certain people. Like I'll exclude business people from a business post that I'm trying to find new prospects because they don't need to see that. But you can also exclude certain lists. So let's say I'm doing some post that would like really like be talking about something with Evergreen where I'm trying to like warm up people that might be Evergreen potentials, but I don't need all my students to see that because it wouldn't benefit them. They're already in there. That's just an example. It could be like, okay, I'm going to do a product post, but I'm trying to find new customers, so I don't need my current customers in there. You guys can exclude certain lists, and this is the end of our training. So if your mind is blown, don't worry. You're going to have lots of time to go over this. So you could exclude. So now this post is going to show to everybody except whatever groups I've chosen, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you might have to go back and watch this training for all the good things 1,000 times. But why you do that when we're doing that extra bonus hack that we just talked about is because you're fighting an algorithm game, right?
Yeah.
So you want it in front of the right people. You want it engaged with. And if you can narrow down that audience that's seeing it, they're more likely to have it pop up in their feed. Or if you have 3,000 friends and you're just like Facebook, go show it to all 3,000, you know they're not anyway. So Bethany, as we close out, what should we like review from everything? Because now my throat is dry because I got really excited. So now it's your turn to talk.
It's my turn to talk. I think that just like to go over really bringing value to people is a big thing. And I know that probably everybody in here has already heard that before. But taking a look at what you think is valuable, right, versus what may be valuable to other people. And I still do that a lot of times when I'm like, I love this stuff. How come everybody's not loving this stuff, right? So I think going through that, I think obviously having a good system, like the friends list hack is an amazing system. And then just remembering too that, you know, you hear it all the time. A no is just a no for right now. But that's, I mean, it really is a no for right now. And it could be a no in 10 years still, but it's still a no for right now. Or it could be in 5 or 6 weeks. They're like, hey, let me look at that again because I see how much you like it. So
true.
that's my review, my, you know, my and my my high-tech tracking system.
That's awesome. I know I'm much more about automation. I gave Bethany a recommendation of a marketing system I'm using, and I thought she was using it too. And she's like, "Oh, I'm not using that." I went back to pen and paper. I'm like, "What?" I love it because I love automation, but it's a lot of work to learn. The marketing system we're using, we have shared it inside of this group before, but it has some automation inside of it. But not everybody's going to go that route, but learning these little hacks, just learning how to stay connected, asking permission. So not harassing people. Y'all do not need people near as much as they need you, and this world is way too big, and you're building a business on social media. So lead with your message, be consistent, no matter what, keep your blinders on, keep going. And if somebody does say no, if they're a hard no, like Bethany said, you don't keep like them on whatever list. But if you have permission to connect later, hey, can I invite you to the next event in case something changes? Can I put you on my email list? Can I invite you into my group? And when you just go connect on their social media, that's you taking action. Don't be afraid to do that stuff, because a lot of times it's just they need time, and a lot of people need to see that you're going to keep showing up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who start and stop these things, and they want to see that you're going to keep showing up before they invest their time, their money, or their energy into anything. So
yes. And I have to say too, so like the automation system, I have it, it just needs to be done, but it does take some time to sit down and do it. However, I know that it's entirely worth it.
Well, you're doing the texting thing.
If someone wants to come and like homeschool my kids for my 7-year-old for a week, I'm totally going to be on that.
Well,
we're just having a rough patch right now. So
I feel like that
got a lot going on.
You've nailed down Project Broadcast. And I'm like, I do not have time to put another thing in my brain. So sometimes adding automation, it is a lot of work. Like the new things we're doing, the social sellers are learning Group Track. It's so much time to learn it. And then once you get it, that's why I'm like, I want to get going with this email thing so we can work together. So go have fun, you guys. You got lots of options. Bethany, thanks for joining me today. This is the end of the social selling workshop. Done. Everything's over. Get into Evergreen by tonight. If you guys have not yet, you've got to get in by tonight. If you have any questions, reach out to your concierge. If you're not sure if it's the right step for you, I've done some phone calls with people. Just get connected with me and we can talk about options. And we will be back. So now we're on our regularly scheduled broadcast. Thursday, Jessica will be back at 10 a.m. Central. And next week, Maggie Schuler is going to come in with a live, how to like transform your life type workshop. So I'll be bringing her in next Monday at 10 a.m. Central to do some training on that and tell you guys about the workshop she has. Vicky's going to be doing Canva branding, and Kathy's going to be doing virtual parties. May's going to be amazing. Did you get that?
Got it.
All right. I could stay here all day with you. I love you. I get to see you 1,000 places. So, all right, guys.
All right.
Bye for now.
Guys.